All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.59%. More than 381,000 people vaccinated so far. Government to hold next round of talks with farmers' unions tomorrow. Finance Minister Narendra holds pre-budget consultations with finance ministers of states and union territories. Intense cold wave conditions to continue in northern parts of the country for the next few days. And in cricket, India win 95 for 1 against Australia on the 5th day of the 4th test in Brisbane when reports last came in. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. Now the news. The Health Ministry has said that a total of 7,704 sessions of COVID-19 vaccination was conducted in 25 states and union territories, in which 1,48,266 beneficiaries were vaccinated on the 3rd day of the launch of the world's largest COVID-19 vaccination drive on the 16th of this month. Addressing media in New Delhi yesterday, Additional Health Secretary Dr. Manohar Agnani said, with this taking all the 3 days, a total of 381,305 beneficiaries have been vaccinated so far.
A total of 381,305 beneficiaries have been vaccinated for COVID-19. A total of 7,704 sessions have been held. 18 जनवरी को 5 बजे तक के जो प्रावधानिक आंकड़े हैं, उसके अनुसार सारे देश में 1,48,266 लोगों को टीका लगाया गया। अब तक 580 एडवर्स इवेंट्स फॉलोइंग इम्यूनाइजेशन रिपोर्ट हुई हैं और इनमें से 7 लोग हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन के लिए भर्ती हुए।
Dr. Agnani informed that out of total 580 adverse event following immunization AEFI's cases, 3 hospitalizations were reported in Delhi, out of which 2 persons were discharged while the other one is under observation at a private hospital. In Uttarakhand, 1 person was hospitalized who is stable and under observation at AIIMS, Rishikesh. In Karnataka, 2 cases of hospitalizations have been reported and are under observations, and in Chhattisgarh, 1 case is under observation. Dr. Agnani said 2 deaths were also reported, 1 each from Uttar Pradesh and Karnataka. But as per the post-mortem report, the death of the resident of Uttar Pradesh is not related to vaccination. He said post-mortem is planned to know the case of death of the second person. In Karnataka, the Southwestern Railway started the COVID-19 vaccination drive for its healthcare workers from yesterday. The Central Hospital in Hubballi and the Railway Hospital in Mysuru plans to vaccinate 100 healthcare workers every day. More from a Bangalore correspondent.
About 380 railway healthcare workers at Hubballi and 174 from Mysuru have registered for vaccination. Dr. Prajana Barapatra of Central Hospital Hubballi was the first to take the shot. There was a very good response from the healthcare workers of the hospital, including many senior doctors. After vaccination, all were observed for 30 minutes for any adverse reaction. The railway hospital in Bengaluru has also planned to start its vaccination drive from today. A total of 160 railway healthcare workers will be vaccinated in Bengaluru. Meanwhile, the pandemic is on the decline in Karnataka with a positivity rate of 0.62% and a recovery rate of over 97%. R. Murthy, AAR News, Bengaluru.
The chairman of Narayana Health City and well-known cardiac surgeon, Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty, has said that half the battle against COVID pandemic will be won if half of the population in India is vaccinated. Dr. Devi Shetty was speaking after receiving the vaccine in Bengaluru yesterday. He asked all those receiving the vaccine to show a V sign to denote victory over the virus.
After taking the vaccine, show the sign and take a photograph and publish it in all the social media saying that they trust Indian vaccine and they have taken the Indian vaccine. And this is the first fight against COVID disease. And I would like to thank the Indian government for making this vaccine available to everyone in such a record period of time.
Dr. Devi Shetty pointed out that we do not have enough doctors, nurses, hospitals, but still have managed to contain the spread of the virus in comparison to other countries where the second wave is detected. He said that if nurses involved in the vaccination drive work 4 hours extra every day, then the drive can be completed in 2 months. Advising caution, Dr. Devi Shetty said that only after the second dosage of the vaccine, a person is protected from COVID infection. In Uttar Pradesh, the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine will be administered from 15th of February to all those who were given the first shot during the first phase of the vaccination drive. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath reiterated that though the vaccination against coronavirus was underway, people should not let their guard down against COVID-19. He directed the concerned authorities to ensure that the vaccination program is carried out as per the guidelines and sequence spelled out by the central government. More from our Lucknow correspondent. In a review meeting, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath directed officials to ensure all preparations for the second phase of the corona vaccination campaign as per the scheduled timelines. The Chief Minister said that corona vaccination work is to be undertaken twice a week on Thursday and Friday. And under the first phase of the vaccination drive, corona vaccination of all health workers should be completed in the next 3 weeks. From 15th of February 2021, the second dose of corona vaccine should be administered to all those who have been given the first shot in the first phase of vaccination. Meanwhile, the active cases of COVID infection has further came down to less than 9,000. In last 24 hours, only 379 new COVID patients have been found. With Sushil Chand Tiwari's report from Lucknow, Tanvi Khurana, AIR News.
In Chhattisgarh, more than 10,000 health workers have been vaccinated against coronavirus. No major adverse event has been reported so far due to the vaccine. More from a Raipur correspondent.
On the second day of COVID vaccination in Chhattisgarh, 5,280 health workers were vaccinated yesterday. COVID vaccination was conducted at the 97 vaccination centers of the state. Health workers are showing great enthusiasm for COVID vaccination. Meanwhile, the state health minister T.S. Singhdev held discussions with the staff working at the district hospital Jagdalpur in Bastar, where vaccination took place on 16th January. All these health workers told that they have not suffered any problem after the vaccination. There was also no concern or fear among the employees during the vaccination. The Chief Superintendent of District Hospital Jagdalpur told the Health Minister that not a single case of adverse reaction of immunization has been reported in the hospital so far, and all the staff are doing their duty normally after the vaccination. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
In Maharashtra, the vaccination drive against COVID-19 will resume from today. Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray held a meeting yesterday to review the progress of vaccination drive and appeal to the health professionals to participate in the exercise. The drive will start on all 285 vaccination centers in the state from today, which will continue till the 23rd of this month. A Mumbai correspondent has the details.
Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray said that the suggestions made by some district collectors to expedite the functioning in the CoWIN app will be sent to the center. He said proper guidance should be given to those recipients who suffer from fever or joint pains after taking the vaccine jab. Besides, he also said that more care should be taken of the recipients who suffer from serious side effects. The CM said that the immunity in a person develops 14 days after taking 2 doses of the vaccine. Therefore, until then, a person should adhere to the COVID-19 protocol. Principal Secretary of Health, Dr. Pradeep Vyas, said that his department targets to vaccinate 100 health workers in a day. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Odisha will today receive the second consignment of 3,34,500 doses of Covishield vaccine of Pune-based Serum Institute of India. Along with the 4.08 lakh Covishield and 20,000 Covaxin doses received earlier, the fresh consignment of COVID-19 vaccine will enable the state to cover all its registered healthcare workers during this phase of vaccination.
Having achieved about 85% of vaccination on day 1, the state delivered COVID-19 vaccine shots to another batch of more than 30,000 healthcare workers in 380 sessions across the state yesterday. The government has targeted to complete the registration process by 25th of this month. so as to wind up the ongoing round of vaccination by the month end. Accordingly, it has decided to increase the number of sessions across all the participating healthcare institutions, with the medical colleges and large private hospitals taking the lead in conducting as many as 5 sessions per day. Girish Chandra Das, EIN News, Bhubaneswar.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assured Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa that India will continue to give due importance to the neighbourhood first policy while collectively fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Modi was responding to the congratulatory messages of leaders from neighbouring countries over India's landmark launch of the world's largest vaccination drive against COVID-19 on the 16th of this month. Earlier, in a tweet, Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa congratulated Prime Minister Modi on the successful rollout of COVID-19 vaccine and his generosity towards friendly neighbouring countries. Responding to the congratulatory messages of Maldivian President Ibrahim Saleh, the Prime Minister said, Indian scientists and health warriors have risen to the occasion, and the vaccines being developed and manufactured in India will help our people as well as humanity at large in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. The Maldivian president tweeted that he is confident that India will be successful in the endeavour and that they are finally seeing an end to the scourge of COVID-19. In his message on the massive COVID-19 vaccination drive started by India, Bhutanese Prime Minister Dr. Lothe Tshering expressed hope that it comes as an answer to pacify all the sufferings of the world that the world has endured during this pandemic. The national COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 96.59%, with over 1,211,000 cumulative recoveries so far. The rate of new daily infections has further dipped even below 15,000, with only 13,788 cases being reported in the past 24 hours. During the same period, over 14,400 people have recovered from the viral contagion. The country has 50 times more recovered cases than the current active cases. The active caseload in the country is just 1.97% of the total cases. Out of the nearly 2 lakh cases, 60% are under home isolation and have mild to very mild symptoms. The Health Ministry said that the fatality rate stands at 1.44%. The number of countrywide fatalities recorded in the last 24 hours has dipped below the 150 mark, with 145 deaths being reported in 24-hour period.
Gujarat has recorded 495 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. According to the State Health Department, the recovery rate has reached 95.88%. More from an Ahmedabad correspondent.
The total number of COVID-19 cases detected so far in Gujarat has reached up to 2,55,872. Out of these, 2,45,807 patients recovered. 700 patients discharged from the hospitals after recovery during the last 24 hours. Maximum 101 new cases reported from Ahmedabad, while Surat recorded 95 new cases. At present, total active cases in the state are 6,193, out of which 54 patients are on ventilator. Meanwhile, no one was vaccinated in Gujarat on day 2 and day 3 due to technical problem in COVID application. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Bihar, the COVID-19 recovery rate has reached 98.08%. 2,53,913 people have so far recovered from the infection in the state. The number of active cases of COVID-19 is continuously declining. Currently, 3,509 patients are undergoing treatment at various hospitals. In all, 344 people recovered in the last 24 hours, while 144 new cases were reported. About 2 crore tests for coronavirus have been conducted in the state so far. Meanwhile, 32,867 people have been vaccinated against COVID-19 in the state so far during the vaccination drive.
Talking to News Services Division of All India Radio, Dr. Piyush Ranjan, Additional Professor in Department of Medicine at AIIMS, asked people to continue to take safety precautions such as wearing a mask, practicing social distancing and maintaining personal hygiene even after getting vaccinated against COVID-19.
कोई भी वैक्सीन हमें अतिरिक्त सुरक्षा कवच प्रदान करता है, लेकिन अतिरिक्त सुरक्षा कवच होने का यह मतलब नहीं है कि जो आपको इस बीमारी से बचने के लिए और खुद की इम्यूनिटी को बढ़ाने के लिए जो कोई भी आपके दूसरे तरीके हैं, उनके अनुपालन में किसी भी तरह की कोई कोताही बरतनी है। इंजेक्शन लेने के 6 हफ्ते तक आपको उतने ही रिलीजियसली और रिगरसली बाकी प्रोटेक्टिव मेजर्स जैसा कि मास्क पहनना, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग रखना और पर्सनल हाइजीन का ध्यान रखना, इसे आपको नियमित तौर पर उसी तरह से अनुपालन करते रहना है।
The 10th round of talks between the central government and the representatives of farmer unions, which was earlier scheduled for today, will now be held tomorrow in New Delhi. In a statement issued late last evening, the Agriculture Ministry confirmed the new schedule and reiterated the centre's commitment to resolve issues of the farmers. Earlier, Union Agriculture Minister Narendra had said on Sunday that farmers can tell government what they want other than the withdrawal of the farm laws. Talking to a news agency, the minister urged the protesting farmers to hold a clause-by-clause discussion on the agricultural reforms in the next round of meeting on Tuesday.
हमने लगातार किसान यूनियन के साथ आग्रह किया है कि वे कानून के क्लॉज पर चर्चा करें और जहां किसान को आपत्ति है या किसान को तकलीफ दिखाई देती है वो बताएं, तो सरकार उस पर विचार करने के लिए भी और संशोधन करने के लिए भी तैयार है। हमारी अपेक्षा है कि किसान 19 तारीख को क्लॉज बाय क्लॉज चर्चा करें, वो रिपील के अलावा क्या विकल्प चाहते हैं वो विकल्प सरकार के सामने प्रस्तुत करें, तो सरकार जरूर पूरी गंभीरता के साथ उनकी समस्या पर, उनकी आपत्ति पर विचार करने को खुले मन से तैयार है।
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court appointed panel to listen to the grievances of the protesting farmers will hold its first meeting. The Apex Court had on 11th of this month stayed the implementation of the 3 farm laws against which the farmer unions are protesting at the borders of the national capital. It had also appointed a 4-member panel to resolve the impasse. Anil Ghanawat of Shetkari Sangathan, agri-economist Pramod Kumar Joshi and Ashok Gulati, and Bharatiya Kisan Union President Bhupinder Singh Maan are the 4 members of the committee appointed by the Supreme Court. Bhupinder Singh Maan of Bharatiya Kisan Union has already recused himself from the committee and will not be attending today's meeting.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman held pre-budget consultations with the finance ministers of states and union territories yesterday. The meeting was held through video conference and was attended by chief ministers, deputy chief ministers, state finance ministers and senior officers from the states and union territories. The finance minister highlighted the importance of the meeting as a sign of cooperative federalism and indicated the manner in which the union government was strongly supportive of states and union territories' fight against the pandemic. The participants thanked Ms. Sitharaman for financially supporting the states and union territories during the worst months of the pandemic by enhancing borrowing limits and providing back-to-back loans to states. The participants also gave numerous suggestions to the finance minister for inclusion in the budget speech.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.59%. More than 381,000 people vaccinated so far. Government to hold next round of talks with farmer unions tomorrow. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman holds pre-budget consultations with finance ministers of states and union territories. Intense cold wave conditions to continue in northern parts of the country for the next few days. And in cricket, India were 107 for 1 against Australia on 5th day of the 4th test in Brisbane when reports last came in. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi laid the foundation stone of Ahmedabad Metro Rail Project Phase 2 and Surat Metro Rail Project yesterday through video conferencing. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi said 2 economic urban centres of the country, Surat and Ahmedabad, have got the gift of more than 17,000 crore rupees soon after Uttarayan.
देश के 2 बड़े व्यापारिक केंद्रों अहमदाबाद और सूरत में मेट्रो इन शहरों में कनेक्टिविटी को और मजबूत करने का काम करेगी। 17,000 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का काम शुरू हो रहा है। 17,000 करोड़ रुपए ये दिखाता है कि कोरोना के इस काल में भी नए इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के निर्माण को लेकर देश के प्रयास लगातार बढ़ रहे हैं.
The Prime Minister said the biggest feature of these metro rail projects is that they have been implemented with the future requirements of the people. Mr. Modi said his government is working with an integrated transport approach in implementing the metro rail projects. The Prime Minister said work on more than 1,000 kilometers of metro network is in progress in the country. Praising the fast economic development in Surat and Ahmedabad, Prime Minister Modi described these two cities as the powerhouse of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was unanimously chosen as the next chairman of the Sri Somnath Trust. The trust manages the world-famous Somnath Temple at Prabhas Patan, town in Gir Somnath district of Gujarat. Mr. Modi was named for the top post during a virtual meeting of Sri Somnath Trust, which was attended by the Prime Minister. At the virtual meeting, the trustees paid tributes to former Gujarat Chief Minister, late Keshubhai Patel, the ex-chairman of the trust. The Prime Minister accepted the responsibility and also appreciated the efforts of Team Somnath.
The Ministry of Education has said that the National Education Policy, NEP 2020, covers a wider spectrum of school education from pre-primary to senior secondary. The ministry said in a statement that the recommendations given have varied timelines as the policy is made for the next 20 years and the implementation is being carried out in a phased manner. The ministry said the major portions of NEP will be covered under the new National Curriculum Framework, NCF, and centrally sponsored schemes. The ministry said in-principle approval has been given for setting up the National Mission on Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Mission, and a committee has been formed. It said an MOU has been signed between Indian Sign Language Research and Training Centre and the NCERT to develop an Indian Sign Language Dictionary for school education. The ministry said CBSE exam reforms have been initiated and the board will introduce improvement examination from the year 2021. The ministry further said learning outcomes up to secondary level have been notified and draft of learning outcomes for senior secondary level have been released for inviting suggestions. The full team of the Election Commission of India ECI led by Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora is on a 3-day visit to Assam to review poll preparedness for the upcoming assembly elections in the state. After their arrival yesterday, the team held a meeting with the Chief Electoral Officer of Assam and Nodal Security Officer in Guwahati last evening. Today, the Election Commission will hold meetings with representatives of various political parties. The team will also hold meetings with district election officers and superintendents of police of all districts. Before wrapping up their visit, the Election Commission team will meet the Chief Secretary, Director General of Police and other senior officials of the state. Assembly polls in Assam are scheduled to be held later this year.
Today is the 4th day of the International Film Festival of India, IFFI, which is underway at Panaji in Goa. Our correspondent reports that directors of regional movies shared the interesting experiences. I report.
Speaking about his 37-minute Malayalam non-feature film Orupadira Swapnam Phole, Sharan Venugopal said that it is very tough to define where one's personal boundaries end. The film is set against this plot, he added. Bhargav Poludasu, actor and producer of Telugu film Gatam, also shared his experiences about his film, which has been chosen under the Indian Panorama Feature Films. Despite all odds and restrictions due to pandemic, enthusiasm persists at the IFFI venues in Panaji. Today, films like 180-Degree Rule, Still Alive, Sincerely Yours, Dhaka will be screened. Homages will be paid to Wajid Khan, Stephen Dowdry and SP Balsubramaniam by screening their films. With Tushar Jadhav, Mukesh Thadi for AIR News from Panaji, Goa.
In the United States, ahead of President-elect Joe Biden's Inauguration Day, Capitol Hill went into temporary lockdown yesterday after a fire broke out under a nearby bridge. The U.S. Secret Service informed that the fire that prompted the lockdown was extinguished and there is no threat to the public. The U.S. Capitol and its surrounding areas have been turned into a military zone ahead of Joe Biden's Inauguration Day tomorrow. Elaborate security arrangements have been made in the wake of Capitol Hill riots, which has shaken the country's confidence and put scrutiny on law enforcement and safety in Washington. U.S. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris has formally submitted a letter of resignation for a Senate seat to California Governor Gavin Newsom, ending a 4-year career in the chamber. Harris will be sworn in as the first female, first black and the first South Asian woman Vice President of the United States tomorrow. She will also serve as the President of the Senate, which will allow her to preside over the chamber and break 50-50 ties.
On to some sports news. In cricket, India were 127 for 1 against Australia post-lunch on the concluding day of the fourth and final test at the Gabba in Brisbane. Earlier, the visitors lost an early wicket in Rohit Sharma after resuming their second innings this morning with all wickets intact. Chasing 328 runs for victory, India had scored 4 for no loss after bowling out Australia for 294 after tea on day 4 yesterday. For India, right-arm fast bowler Mohammad Siraj picked up his maiden 5-wicket haul. Shardul Thakur also picked 4 wickets, while debutant off-spinner Washington Sundar capped the remaining one. India had posted 336 in reply to Australia's first innings score of 369, conceding a 33-run lead. North India will continue to reel under the grip of an intense cold wave for a few more days. Senior scientist in India Meteorological Department, R.K. Jinamani said, the warning for the cold wave in the northern part of the country has been extended till the 22nd of this month. Earlier, the IMD had issued a cold wave warning between 13th and 15th January and later extended it till the 18th of this month. Mr. Jinamani, however, said dense fog spread across the northern plains in Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand will start lifting from today.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital witnessed moderate fog this morning. The temperature in the city will hover between 8 and 21 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature was around degrees Celsius, so the maximum is expected to be around 30 degrees. Chennai witnessed fog and mist in the morning and likely to experience partly cloudy sky later. The temperature will vary between 21 and 30 degrees Celsius. In Kolkata, there was fog in the morning and will have partly cloudy sky later. The city observed a minimum temperature of around 17 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 26 degrees. Srinagar experienced fog in the morning and will have partly cloudy sky later. Temperature will hover between -7 degrees Celsius and 9 degrees. Jammu also witnessed fog in the morning and will have mainly clear sky later. Minimum temperature is around 8 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 17 degrees. Leh will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature is around -12 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be around 1 degree. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between -6 degrees to 11 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, sky will be mainly clear. The temperature will hover between 4 to 21 degrees Celsius. Dehradun observed a minimum temperature of around 8 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 21 degrees. The city had fog and mist in the morning and will have mainly clear sky later. Chandigarh had fog in the morning and will have mainly clear sky later. The temperature is likely to hover between 8 to 23 degrees Celsius. Ahmedabad will have clear sky. Minimum temperature was 12 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 30 degrees.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Co-vaccine company warns people with medical conditions not to take jab, leads the Times of India. Co-vaccine not to be used in cases of allergy, fever, poor immunity, writes The Hindu. On the farm protest, Hindustan Times states, Supreme Court refuses to step in on Republic Day tractor rally. China builds new Arunachal village, reports The Asian Age, adding, hamlet just across LAC has 101 homes. Government says constant watch is on. Mamata back to where it started will fight both from Nandigram, notes the Indian Express. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Somnath Temple Trust Chief, informs the Tribune. FIR registered in UP against Tandav director, Amazon head, writes the Statesman. And finally, Rafale to feature in Republic Day parade. The Pioneer reports that Rafale will culminate the flypast by carrying out the vertical Charlie formation.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Country's COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 96.59%, more than 381,000 people vaccinated so far. Government to hold next round of talks with farmers' unions tomorrow. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman holds pre-budget consultations with finance ministers of states and union territories. Intense cold wave conditions to continue in northern parts of the country for the next few days. And in cricket, India were 128 for 1 against Australia on the 5th day of the 4th test in Brisbane when reports last came in. And for details of the stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.